Hello, welcome to a spirit animal message. And if tonight's your birthday, I'd like to start off by saying happy birthday. And also, before going into the whole message, I like to use this is 432 hertz frequency. Okay, so before I get into any tarot, we have some spirit animal messages. Before I get into these, I have axolotl as a spirit animal, which is what I found out about it, which is this duality, movement, life, ability to generate limbs and stay in a juvenile state. I think about how that would apply to a human being. It would be like you're capable of regenerating yourself in a way where you stay in this. It's like even when you get older, you still look really young. There is this relation or this connection to an Aztec leader who I believe they said it was this god. Axolotl was his name with an X. And he adapted to avoid death. So I think about how, and I think about how that would apply. I think about how we become adaptable because we're not trying to leave before our time. We want to experience this life, this existence that we are in. We don't want to just, passively exist, or survive, which is, because survival is just not living. It's, and then I had this energy where it was moth also was something I was thinking to mention, which moth is, attracted to light, so attracted to truth. It also could symbolize connecting to ghosts. Another animal I was thinking of is cockatiels, honestly. And I have cockatiels all over my house. We have joy, harmony, and spiritual liberation. I had more for cockatiels. Cockatiel, loyalty, long-term partnerships, lightheartedness, emotional awareness. So it's like you're very aware of your emotional spectrum. You're capable of perceiving any issues of emotional imbalances in others. How you have some form of modality that assists you cultivate a more grounded emotional balance. So, and then there was this, you're also an effective, or you're becoming a more effective communicator. And then we have frog, prosperity. And for frog, I just want to read off words and see if anything, even for me, sparks inspiration. Prosperity, abundance, fertility, luck, transformation, adaptable, rainmaker, cleansing, resurrection, change, And then it has this element of night magic, which I'm not really, I have to look deeper on that one, but I guess maybe you work your energy, your intuition, I don't know, a lot of things are activated, they're at their best in the nighttime. Could also mean, this card could also mean an arrival of a baby. This also could mean a love that turns you into a prince. And there was this, like, I think of the frog prince or something like that. And I think about when you find that one true love, how, you know, I guess the way you treat yourself is just better because you feel happier. So you become a prince or a princess. Well, I would imagine that would be a queen. Oh, and that's funny. There is another part to this. We'll get to that. So then we also have vibrancy, peacock. You were born to shine and inspire. Practice humility to avoid jealousy. Be grateful for life and more good things will come. Be true to yourself and recognize your brilliance. And for peacock, vibrancy, we have grace, self-esteem, authenticity, protection, good luck, integrity, sensuality, refinement, pride, prosperity, phoenix, which I actually have a phoenix right here. This is a phoenix in perpetual rising. So I think about how we're always overcoming some things usually, or we're changing frame by frame into the next moment. And always, as a phoenix energy, I feel like that energy is always about self-growth, self-awareness, awareness of others. Challenges make a phoenix stronger. I think of that because the push doesn't break you. It makes you fight harder to be yourself. And then unicorn, infinite possibilities. You are the sovereign of the seen and unseen worlds. The magic of love surrounds you. Beauty transforms you. Listen to the spirits of light. Abandon the darkness. Go beyond the ordinary and become the legendary. And I see these butterflies, and I think about how the unicorn represents this master transformation, where right now you're going through like a huge awakening about yourself, I feel, because I think about myself and how even tonight, I have cockatiels, and I've been doing spirit animal messages for so long. And it wasn't until tonight that it dawned on me to look up the spiritual meaning of cockatiel. And what I loved about it was that it represented spiritual liberation. And I actually made a connection today that I don't really know how to process it in an entire way, because we hear so much about star seeds, and you know, my family and I have been joking around just because my mother, you know, for the longest time would over and over again speak about how she was visited by aliens as a baby. And, you know, for most of my life, her telling this story over and over again. I believe in aliens 1000% because I actually myself had experience, not where I, met one or anything. I wish. But I was laying in a field and I was looking up at the sky with my sister and another family member at the time, ex-family member. And we were all looking up at the sky, and it was a clear night. It was all stars. I mean, it was pitch black. You could see the satellites floating in the air, everything. And we watched a light go from one star to another star to another star. And it would go like, say if this is one position, it went like this, and then it went like this. And it looked like it went to different stars, and then it just shot straight into space. I mean, it was time traveling, because I think about how fast this thing had been going. And if we would have blinked, we would have missed it. But my mother, she'd always tell me about this story of being visited by aliens. And then as I've gotten older, and then just in the last few years, I was hearing about this star seed energy. And then I see, I see numbers sometimes having a language, and I see colors having a language, and I see animals having a language. It's like when you're in your present moment. Sometimes I've been doing this my entire life, where I would look around at the natural world and look at animals, and I don't know, through that I would get like intuitive hits about myself. And then once I got Google, I was able to look up spiritual meanings, and it would always resonate, and something would spike to help mirror something that I was sensing, right? It's like we get the inner knowing, and then something happens and it gives us a confirmation. And it was just an interesting thing where not even that long ago, my family went over this conversation again, and I was just talking about this basically to myself on a level, where if there is this energy of a star seed, which I believe in it, I just don't know how to process it, I guess. And I was thinking about, what would that be? You know what I mean? And I think about my mother, how she was a baby, right? She was in her like crib or playpen or something like that, from I remember what she told me. And she watched these short beings, I don't know, move around her as they left. I don't really remember the entire story now, but I think about how she was a baby, and I think about how we have this epigenetics where we store information in our systems from our parents, their parents, their parents' parents, all those things. And I think about how we have generational curses basically on this level, just from the DNA, and that programming being so fixed into the system. And then I thought, okay, how would they put DNA of another and a higher consciousness being into a human, into a person? How would they do that? And then I thought about it, how, women are born with all of their eggs, right? They're born with all their eggs. And I was thinking, okay, if they're born with all their eggs and they were to visit a a child, they could potentially just, I think of the technology that they would have. They would just be able to, you know, zip, basically, and download DNA into an egg. And they would know, because they basically would know, because they're they're of higher intelligence. They perceive space and time travel in a way that we're just now really getting close to it. And I was thinking, okay, why would they do that? And then I thought of epigenetics, and I thought about how in the DNA, if the alien DNA is awakened, it would override the system of DNA that is the epigenetics, the stored fixed things that are in a person, to help them shift out of that space where they are basically forced to be a version of themselves that's not actually them, just because of epigenetics on a level. And then you have life itself. And then I thought, okay, and if they were to do that, and this person were to, you know, grow up and realize who they are, then I think about how they would just naturally embody higher consciousness, perception, being able to perceive things that I think about myself, like how I get weird about numbers, how I get weird about colors, how I get weird about animals, how I've always been attracted to tarot. I started it when I was a child. I just went into a store that was an esoteric store, and my mother was, I don't know, being her, and she was handing me money basically, and I would go into the store, and I did this meditation class where they would put bags on our heads, and they would train us this meditation to where we would be able to ask ourselves, our higher selves, you know, what was in the bag. And I was like 11 at the time. And then right after, you know, the conclusion, the meditation class was over, I found tarot. And I didn't really know what tarot was, or the history of tarot, or anything like that. All I did was, and what I miss about tarot compared to now, as far as back then, and I cannot find it, and it's been bugging me forever, is that there was a 9-card spread that I always used. And it was in the first tarot deck I ever bought. And, you know, after some time of doing just random readings for friends using this 9-card spread, every time I would do a reading, I was so right. But what pushed me away from tarot as a child was it scared me on a level because of how accurate I would be. And then it was always about, except for one time, it was always something about something bad on the way, which was like one of my friends, I did a tarot reading for him, and I told him, like, in a week, you know, his house or his apartment was going to set on fire, and it did. And then my mother, actually, I did a reading for her when I was a little bit older, and I told her that she was going to lose someone close to her, that she would get an inheritance, and that she would have a child. And both of us giggled at each other, because I was in my 20s at the time. My sister was a few years behind me. There was no plans whatsoever of having children, any more children. Like literally whatsoever. It was a fixed thing where there was no potentiality for any more children, as far as she was concerned, as far as anyone was concerned. And it all happened, you know, and just things. And then there was one good one where I told someone that they were going to meet the love of their life, basically, but it was a person that I didn't get to find out what happened. And then years later, in 2018, I had re-entered tarot, and then I started understanding, where the roots of it is, about the emerald tablets, about just a lot of things that it just seemed like I went through this awakening. I even had this dream of a dragon, and it was the most vivid dream I've ever had. I actually dreamt I could touch this dragon. I could feel it. Imagine being able to put your hands on a dragon and actually being able to feel how they feel. But in the dream, I could hear, it was like at first when I was it was in a woods, and it looked like a normal woods, but it almost didn't even look like earth on a level. And when it spoke to me, it was like telepathic. And at first it was this huge dragon, right? So immediately I was kind of like, I don't know if it's like friend or foe kind of a moment. And I call it a she, because I felt this strong feminine energy coming from her. And I still remember her to this day, because I seen her a few times in a meditation. But she told me telepathically to not be afraid of her, and that I should climb on her back, which I did. And then I could feel her underneath me. And then I actually would wake up, and then I would go back to sleep, and the story, or the nothing would repeat itself. I would just it was like I would leave the dream, and then the following day I'd go back to sleep, and then the dream would restart, but I would start as though I had just left and came right back, basically. And then she took off flying, and I could see this world in the sky, and it looked like there was two suns, like a sun over here and a sun somewhere else. And she flew in this way where the angle of the light hit her scales. Her scales on her back looked pure gold, except for they were this also translucent on a level, because she had this green all over her body that was like her shade. And when the sun hit her back, there was this emerald green light that covered all over me. It was blinding. I couldn't see anything. And then that was the end of the dream. Was me being covered in this green light. And you hear I've learned so much that it's like being, and I think about the spiritual liberation and just getting to know yourself. And my mother actually, I think about, how she saw them, right? And as far as she remembers, she saw them. And I think about how they vibrate in a way where it's like a person who sees them, if you can actually see them visually, because they vibrate in a way where if they're, completely their whole and healthy self, unless you are somehow vibrationally a match, you're not able to see them. And she did. And then I think about how she actually, had a tumor, a non-cancerous tumor on her octave nerve that we don't know how long she had it. We know it was a slow growing tumor, but it had gotten so big that when they did finally find it, it was this mass out of the side of her face, and it looked like her face. It took a lot of going to the doctors and not getting the help not getting the help she needed because everybody was diagnosing her with a vitamin deficiency, even with CAT scans, even with, you know, many people looking at her. And it took, you know, her having a grand mal seizure in front of a nurse after already getting a CAT scan and on the way of being sent home for them to see a mass that was bigger than a golf ball that was growing basically out of the side of her face. And we got really lucky that she survived because it was so big. And honestly, when it was found, there was like this whole thing where, you know, doctors didn't want to take it out because of how big it was. And she got blessed in the sense where, you know, a doctor that had just moved to Syracuse, where I live, and was able to remove it for her because it was killing her slowly. And that was one of the reasons why I started studying the brain, and then also because I had concussions myself, that I noticed I had trouble with my memory, and I always felt like I could get my memory back if I just worked on myself and worked on learning the brain, worked on learning the body. I studied the brain because I wanted to know if there was any, you know, chance that she could get all of herself back. And I learned that there was ways that she could have done that if she had put in that work, or if she felt like she could do that. So let me go into some tarot, and we're gonna read a 10-card spread. I apologize for the oversharing, but I was just feeling like possibly anyone who's coming to this resonates to star seeds. And I think about how, you know, just a few readings ago, I was having an entire day of numbers, just having this conversation, and it got to where I got my investigative hat on, and I just started looking through the laws of the universe. Every number I got, I just kept on, you know, breaking down. And then it led to me finding this book called The Law of One, or the series of books, and I'm just really starting to get into them and learn the Law of One, because I've been, you know, studying different things over I don't know how many years now, and I have all these binders just filled with random spiritual information from reading different spiritual texts and just meditation texts and philosophy, chakra systems, the science of the body, the science of tarot, because I have issues with my memory sometimes. So no matter how many times sometimes I read something, until I'm embodying it, I have to just keep remembering. And it gets tiring sometimes, because it's like, why can't I be that person that just, you know, read something once and then it's just there and solid? My body isn't built that way. Well, it's getting better because I meditate every single day, and it's because I have this anxiety condition where everything can trigger it, and it's an animal. Basically, over time, it gotten so big to where it's like medication is only a band-aid, and I'm not great with taking medications on a consistent basis. So I've always said to myself, because in the past I was put on medication because I used to get so bad with my anxiety that I would actually stop breathing, and it would take me throwing up to start breathing again. And that was, I was an end of life palliative care aide for a year, and actually longer than that. And because I'd already had an anxiety condition, and then I had stuff, you know, in that job that really pushed me, and it wasn't even the job, it was mostly the co-workers that I had and the boss that I had. It pushed an animal that I can't get rid of within my body over the ledge, basically. And once I went an entire year where that feeling of anxiety, of pressure, and not being able to breathe, I went an entire year of it being basically out of control, and me just, it's like you get used to it, basically. You get used to this feeling of not being able to breathe. And I even had a doctor tell me, you know, because when I was a child, when it first started, they diagnosed me with asthma, and I don't have asthma. The doctor, when I had my really bad panic attacks, they told me that it was my mind, you know, it was like a lie from my brain telling my body that, you know, fight or flight. I almost correlate it to like a possum or those goats or something when they're afraid and they play dead. And it's like, it was like a bracing. It's like and it's just like, it creates this whole system reaction. And my response to the reaction is to continuously meditate on a daily basis, creating a habit around my meditation, which I've always, for years, I've meditated, and I've done different forms of meditation. One thing that really initiated a higher form of meditation was when because I had a nightmare that I had pulled out of my subconscious, and I couldn't get rid of it. I was actually seeing it during the day. Like, it was like a daymare, because it was something that happened to me when I was a child. And what I did was I found this frequency, and it was, I want to say it was some form of like 528 hertz, but I did this, I used these sounds while on a treadmill, and somehow that shook it out of my system, and I don't get it anymore. And it was a blessing, because it was this, I don't know, form of, you know, it was like my body would go through reactions even though there was nothing wrong. Like, something else could just trigger me, upset me, or frustrate me, and it would just appear, you know what I mean? It was like out of my control, basically. But I took the control back through meditation on a consistent basis. That was very long-winded. So let's go into your reading. 33 on the timer. So I think of that as the, you know, unity consciousness, Jesus consciousness. So we're going to do a 10-card spread. So anybody who wants to get out now. We're starting out with the Hangman. So I think about how this is, what is this? This is an ant. And it's hanging, it's upside down, but it's perfectly fine, right? It could, you know, come off of the surface it's on and go, you know, and walk on the bottom and normal. And I think of that suspended in purposeful suspension to enlighten yourself. I always think I think of the other depictions of the hanged man, and then there's that glow around the person's head. So it is this space of, it's like deliberate rest or deliberate stillness to assist enlightenment, or to allow yourself to awaken to yourself, which I think of meditation as exactly that. It's like deliberate rest. It's resetting your nervous system. I think about when I first started this channel, my nervous system was so not okay. I could actually look at some of my videos where I look like there's just something actually maybe even wrong. I mean, there was like moments where you see my hands kind of shaking. I made a strong change after the new year because of some things that happened, and I realized that I needed to take my nervous system back before I lost it basically for good. And I've gotten it back through these breathing meditations where it pushes deep breathing, and it's through Joe Dispenza. And it's bringing the energy up through from the lower part of your body up into your brain, you know, bringing oxygen into your body in this like really special way. And I do it every single day. I was planning to do a 30-day habit building series on my channel, utilizing meditations that I use and doing it just in a way where you hear the meditation and I do it, and then whoever's listening has the option to, you know, bring out their form of, you know, visual, or how they would get the meditation, like their phone or whatever, while they'd be listening to me. So however they could do that, or they can just listen with me through the video and just do the meditation with me. And I think about how when I was working with fitness, when I first started fitness, you know, building a habit around fitness just created the animal of fitness within me. So now it's like this whole being where now I can create, you know, I can create habit forming routines for other people just because I embodied it to where I'm re-entering the study, because I actually have a class that I'm in to become certified as a personal trainer, but I've never had a personal trainer. And I think about how I entered, you know, fitness later in life. I was like 300 pounds when I initially started, but and there's a reason why I was that way. I had an injury when I was young, and it led to I slowed down incrementally, and I didn't want to face the pain, and I wasn't getting help from doctors, and life was moving so quickly that it was just like, it was like a toss-up. Take care of myself or take care of life that is moving so fast that taking care of myself seems like second best, basically. And it led to where I had no choice and to face myself, and I didn't take anything for pain anymore because of an injury I had. So this is me go back into this reading. I apologize. So, immediate influence. You have the Six of Swords. I feel like you're maneuvering around. I feel like other people, I think this is like like other people's swords who have tried to block your path in some way. And you're like this sugar glider. That's what this is. You're like this sugar glider, and you're able to use the natural world. And I think of the air itself, and I feel like that air is more of like communication, and the swords also represent communication. So it's like maybe something is trying to block your communication in some way. However, you're not allowing that, because like this sugar glider, you can fly right through that block, basically. Apologize, I made this super long by talking too much, and I apologize. I really dislike the word sorry. If anybody ever, that's something I will put out to the entire universe, that I feel like it's a poison to our brains. Because it's like certain people will say it, even my daughter does it, where she'll say it all the time. And I've been trying to talk to her about it, because I feel like a person who says it over and over and over again, you could be poisoning your brain. It's like sending a signal to your brain that you enjoy this feeling. You say it over and over again, and it's like bringing in a manifestation to a future frame to bring it in again, so that you'll feel that. And when I think of what would sorry represent? It represents not feeling enough, right? Or it will incrementally bring you down in a way where you, over time, using that, you will program to your brain that feeling of not enough. So your destiny, your goal, is the Six of Pentacles. And I feel like this is just, it's like you have this balance within the physical world. And it's like you're getting one more, your destiny is to get this the full of your present moment. One second. So I guess your goal or your destiny has something to do with being able to be generous with your time, with your voice, with your being, with your present moment, being able to share resources. And I feel like resources is information also. It's not just resources, but it's information. I think about how, I'm being in this present moment, this form of guide, right? And I see how everyone has that inside of them. And I feel like it's like the resource is information. Being able to clearly give the information, and not even just that, it's resources. It's building habits. Like I was just saying, my idea of creating something to help another and then bringing it into a digital product to then put on it, it's a resource, right? Once it's formed and it's on there, then it's a resource for somebody else to come in and utilize it. So that's part of your destiny, is sharing resources. So that would apply to anyone differently. Maybe you're a reader yourself, or you're a guide in some other healing modality. And that's your destiny, is to share that with the world. Okay, so what I'm gonna do on the distant past. A card for the distant past. Something that would help me with this. Okay, so we have Five of Wands. And I feel like in the distant past, you had to defend yourself a great deal from other people. And I even think about, this whole concept of starseed. I think of Jesus also, and how I was reading up a scripture of how he says, if they are capable of hating me, then it was like, if they hate me, they'll hate you. And not to say that they hate him now, but I'm saying like back when he was in existence, and there was all this bigotry about him and the things that he understood and what he was trying to share with the people that he was coming in contact with. And he was a part of this like mystery school. He had been gifted with wisdom at birth. It was something that was his divine path. And when I read that, I was like, it's like to say, you know, people are going to judge you through spiritual beliefs, and it's to be that strong sense of self and to not allow those people to break who you are, basically. And I feel like you're in this energy where all of these things that were thrown at you, and even I see like a skunk, it's like they were sending these things at you because something about you just, their senses, it was like it didn't smell right. Not to say you smell or anyone smells, but something about you, they didn't understand, and it was like you had to defend yourself, basically. And then the past, in the recent past, something to help me with more of like a recent past. Sorry, I'm not looking. I apologize. I said it. I swear, I wish there was somebody that like that follows me that would be like, you did it again. Like, it's almost like, all right, put $1 in the curse jar, because I swear that word should be a curse word. Like, ban it from all, like, children. You see a child use it, that's a curse word. Naughty. Do not say that word. You can say, I'm not gonna say that. That would be bad. I have a video where we discuss the vibration of the word fuck. No, that's not a good thing, children. We found out it's the vibration. I looked up the word, what the numerology of fuck it, and it was what was it? 633292. And then I made this connection where if you changed the F to an L, it turned into 333292. And then if you add the numbers, it turned into 1111. And with fuck it, it was 511. So it was not as harmonious, but there was this there was this language coming through for 5, because 5 was a part of the entire message. It was just a very prominent number throughout the message. And that was the video is the one with the little, like, it looks like a penguin or something. In the recent past, Temperance. So there's been, in the recent past, maybe it's like a reconciliation. It's like but I feel like this is you. It's almost like you've almost reconciled with yourself. In a second. And it was like, it's like through divine timing, you've reconnected. And I feel like you've reconnected to a part of yourself. It's like you awakened to a part of yourself, and it was meant to happen. It was a part of a divine plan. And then we got the next, I promise no more stories, I'll behave. It's a very long reading, because I've been talking the entire time. Okay, not really sure. This one or this one? Okay, there's two cards that came up, and I'm going to read them both. So you have this Eight of Cups. But then you also have, and this was the one that was really strong, is this Nine of Pentacles. So I feel like you're walking away from, in the future, moving into the future, you're really walking away from what does not serve who you truly are. And you're walking towards your authentic self, your highest, the most complete version of yourself. I think like the main character version of yourself. Not being afraid of who you are, and a letting go of the narratives or the false projections that other people put on you. Just want to give it a second and see if there's anything else. One second. I saw this flicker in the light as I was talking, and I don't know why. It just made me think like maybe there's something I'm forgetting. So moving into the future, you're going to be successful with what you're working towards. And I think about how the message in the short and all of what I was building right from the beginning was this higher concept or this higher message of spiritual liberation. So it's like you're learning things about yourself, which is leading to this spiritual liberation, spiritual freedom, because you're starting to know who you are spiritually. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like you're just walking away from people that don't align with you anymore. And it's like you could even be, because they both came out together, and I think about this as being a future influence, what I feel like might happen is you may suddenly, it's like if you're in an environment where you're surrounded by people that don't vibe with who you are, and then you're getting this Nine of Pentacles. So it's like this grounded energy, right? It's almost like I feel like you're going to shift where you are entirely. Like moving into the future influence is this shift in your embodiment, I guess, because it's like when you embody a vibration of self, you naturally, like, I feel like it's like a magnetism. You get pulled to where you're meant to be. So it's like moving into the future, you're about to possibly change location, or it's just like part of your world that is out of alignment is going to shift, and it's going to shift in a way that's going to bring you in more alignment to who you actually are. Let's see. Okay, some perspective for this reading. Some clarity, just some this message, the perspective. Queen of Swords. I feel like with this Queen of Swords, wielding your sword in a way that you have this, the feminine energy is, it's like you can come off maybe harsh at times, but you're swiftly speaking up for yourself as needed, because I think about how in the past perhaps you may not have been that type of person to do that, but right now, moving into your liberation, your spiritual liberation, you're able to meet those. I think about the skunk with all the wands being thrown at it. Now they don't throw, if they try, you have your sword and I think of, what is that? The law of growth, or the law of commitment, the law of growth, of like a silence, observation, something. Hang on, I actually have it right here. The law of growth. Ooh. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention about unicorn, and I just thought of it, is the unicorn could also mean that you have a strong energy guardian. And it's funny that I thought of the one that dragon that I met in the dream, and I actually absent-mindedly almost forgot to mention that there is this energy that I was feeling of those who come to this and resonate to this message. You have a strong energy guardian with you. So yes, law of growth is speak less, listen more, react less, observe more. So that's just a shortened understanding of the law of growth. And I'm still building on my knowledge around the laws of the universe. So I just think about that. Speak less. You're listening and observing. It's like you're clearly seeing people, and you're able to swiftly and cleverly, I feel like it's like being a word ninja on a level, but not in a mean, manipulative way. It's like other people can use words to manipulate and trap people in illusions, where you're not doing that. You're using your sword for truth. You're wielding your sword in a way that lets people know, like, listen, you are your reality. This is my reality. I swear I just saw something flying, and there's nothing there. There was like this little white, I thought it was a moth, but I don't see anything. So the environment, how is working towards, okay, this one's 9 of Wands. So your environment is, I don't know if this is like your external environment or if this is your internal environment. This is just a depiction of your environment. I guess it would depend on how it resonates. Of perseverance. The energy is pushing you to continuously persevere. You know what I was thinking? I'm thinking of now also is, I was looking, it was a reading I did, I believe yesterday, where I felt the energy of like the camel, and I actually did a little looking into what that energy sort of hints towards, and it was like the animal carries heavy loads throughout its entire life. You know, it's like, I think about life being a little bit heavy and challenging, and it's almost like, you know, sometimes life can just feel like you're carrying this load always. But then it had also how it lives in this harsh condition and can, you know, survive anyways. And then that heavy loads, and then there was another part of it. I'm not sure, but anyways, just to not take off a whole bunch of time because we have already done that. It was just this representation of a person who's built up resiliency through their life, and because of it, they have a persistence for themselves and their goals, their life, their journey. And I feel like the environment, all of the things that you've gone through in your life, led you to be this persistent energy, to have that desire, have that natural driving force towards your spiritual truth. And I think about how the goat, it's this goat, right? And it can jump on, it can, if it was on something else and it wanted to get to somewhere else, even if it had just a little bit of space, it would be able to make it, because that's that creature's capability. It can land even when it looks like it'll fail, basically. So you always make it. You're a fighter. Inner emotions. So how are you moving towards the future? How are you going to be feeling? I'm not taking that one, and I apologize, but I just don't believe that I had it right. It was saying that your emotions are this 10 of Wands, which, no. See, told you. It was this in my hand, mishapped it, and I thought it was right. And something instinctively was like, no, put that one back. So the Star, this is how you're feeling on the inside moving forward. Enlightened, right? So I just want to get a look at something real quick, because it helps me guide my mind. Yeah, so you're feeling like it's like this ultimate card of healing, of wholeness, of hope. Feeling hopeful about your present moment. Not just hopeful, you're embodying your authentic self. You feel, it's like you feel so, I think about what spiritual liberation could do for a person, where you truly just understand yourself in a way where it don't matter what the outside world necessarily, that doesn't, the part of the world that doesn't resonate to you doesn't even matter, because you resonate to you. You've put in the work to where you're knowing yourself, and that is this, it's like you're the star. Your emotions, you feel like a star. It's like, and there was another part of this message that I think I missed, and I don't know how I did that, but there was this energy of something like some energy, I don't know how this would resonate, but it's almost like they're crowning you or something. I don't know, I think of the crown chakra, and there was this energy of something crowning, like a or like you've arrived in some fashion. You know, the journey is never ending, because there's always more to know, always more to learn about yourself, I feel. But there was this, it's like you finally get it, I feel, is what it is. It's like you finally get it. You finally know yourself. And there was this energy of like some part of the universe had this thought. I had this thought of like you're crowned, and I don't know how that would actually. And I think about prosperity and luck, and I think about unicorn. I think about how the unicorn represents, like, you know, you're headed towards good luck. It's like a unicorn crosses your path, and it means that's like a sure sign of luck on the way, right? Oh. So, moving into the future. Excuse me, I'm like about to burp, but it's not coming out. Because I really don't want it to because I'm on camera. I'm like, no, go back down. Okay. The energy moving into the future, you could be potentially be a you could be potentially become like your own, it's like your own independent sovereign self, where you're capable of taking care of yourself, financially, emotionally, mentally. Yeah. Well, this is wealth. This is wealth, generosity, being able to be generous with the abundance that you have around you. So somehow you're heading towards a future where you are wealthy, you're able to live life. And I think about the unicorn, it's so funny, I just thought of the unicorn just before that came out, of infinite possibilities. What would having enough money to where you're wealthy, give you? What would that give you? You would no longer ever have to worry or think about money. You could just be yourself and be generous, because I think about the more we have, the more we can give. And when you're that gifted, I feel like that type of person should have what they need to be all they can be, because they're a gift to the world, and they should be given the foundation that they would need to expand in a way where they could assist the world in any way that they are naturally capable of. Okay. Oh, we're already at an hour and 7 minutes, so we can do one more spirit animal message. Ooh. From this deck, and that's funny. I'm just going to take it because I really feel like that's the card. So, Chameleon. Conceal ambition with patience until it is time to make your move. So, I feel like it's like saying, keep things, don't just start broadcasting to people all of your plans. Whatever plans that you could be forming, and wait until it's time to make your move. Wait until the divine time that will naturally evolve around you to make your move. And then I also think of chameleon, of like a shapeshifter, and I think about how it's like they can change their outward appearance based on their environment. And I think about the environment on the inside, and perhaps you're changing. It's like your appearance is changing because the environment on the inside is changing, and it's becoming more vibrant, more clear, more of who you actually are. You're healing your body in a way where you're actually showing up to the world and I also think about how they are this beautiful creature, but they blend into almost hide in plain sight, right? It's like they're not trying to be flashy in any way. They change their color so they look like their surroundings, even though they're something else entirely. And then I thought we'll do a moon card too. I know this is long. Well, whoever comes, I pray you are getting value from the reading, no matter how much you resonate to the message. Because that is my intention, is to add value to people's lives in a way that helps them on their journey to stay strong, to be adaptable, to gain, you know, maybe things in a toolbox, that toolbox of life, to assist with dealing with anything that they could have going on around them. Okay. A win-win outcome is forecast. A win-win outcome is forecast. Full moon in Libra. I feel like full moon. We actually have a full moon, actually, right now. I don't know if it's an actual full moon. I have to look. I'm usually really good about following the moon and following the planets, but I don't know if it's a full moon. It might be. A win-win outcome. So something is, I think, a balance. The balance of Libra. There's been this consistency with win, good luck, prosperity. It's like you're going to level up in some fashion. So no matter, you know, how things may seem, it's like continue being yourself, because it's a win-win no matter what. It's like no matter what, you win. No matter what, you win. And I think about how you could also be crowned. So I also think of the contest queen right now, honestly. So maybe you're going to win something somewhere, somehow. Like, it's like an auspicious win. It's like a sudden win of some sort. Winning the lottery just came to mind. You never know. Hey, you never know. The New York lottery. Hey, you never know. So, hint, hint, you never know. So we're going to do a card from this, and this is how I'm going to close this reading. This is from the 42 Ideals of Ma'at in Daily Life. Where is my book? Oh. So let's see. I give offerings that are genuine. I give offerings that are genuine. And look at this beautiful picture. Before I even read anything, look at this picture. What does it look like this woman is doing? You see how her heart is glowing? I think of the heart space, and I think about, I have a flower of life here, because I always, and I it was on my birthday, and I had this like, I had to have it done. It was just like the energy was like, do this. And I walked into the tattoo place at 3:33. But I think about how the electromagnetic energy that comes out of the heart space, and they say that monks, you know, men that spend their lives in meditation. They have actually measured the heart of a monk, and the electromagnetic energy that comes out of them is so strong. It's like this really, it's like really, really strong. So like, because they're so disciplined with their meditations, and it looks like this looks like she's just slowly rising. It's like slowly she's, or not slowly, like all these circles are the levels she's heading towards. It's like this continuous leveling up process, right? Let's just see what the book says, because that's one thing I do enjoy about doing these readings, is getting to know these cards better. I give offerings that are genuine, and not just these cards, but these ideals. They're like commandments. And Ma'at she comes from like Egyptian and Atlantean times. So I give offerings that are genuine. So 6. The core of Buddhist philosophy stems from an understanding that life is riddled with suffering, and it is our attachment to suffering that lends our life experiences more suffering. In finding mental, emotional, and spiritual liberation, oh my gosh, anyone who has not seen the short to this video, go check that out, because I had just, like, I brought this together, and it's like, I love the way this always turns out. That's all I'm gonna say. In spiritual liberation from suffering, we attain nirvana, the transcendental state where we are free from the fetters of materialism, detached from the effects of karma, and liberated from the cycle of death and rebirth. In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean, translated by Dr. Doriel, a comparable archetype is considered in the halls of Amenti, or the Akashic records, where records of past and future lives coexist, but there is also a space where the soul is free from the body, living in light and able to begin the cycle yet again, if it so chooses. Okay, this is a like a message from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Dwell here or leave here when thou desireth. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Take thou up life in what form thou desireth. Child of the light that has grown among men, choose thou thy work, for all should must labor, never be free from the pathway of light. I'm not gonna cry. In exploring the ideal of giving offerings that are genuine from a space of non-attachment with the living philosophy of a light heart in harmony with authenticity beyond any dogmatic system, we must be reminded of the core meaning of what it is to offer in the first place. The word offering finds its root from a Latin offer, meaning to bestow or present, but it eventually evolved into the Old English ofran, which meant to sacrifice in the way of an offering to a deity. Modern society has conditioned us to believe that we must give to receive, and in order to receive, we must give. It's a platitude that inadvertently feeds the idea of attachment. Ooh, I did not think of that way. Because if we give so much and feel as though we are not receiving an equal echo back, it can cause us to experience the suffering of expectations. So it's like if you're giving a lot to I feel like over giving. If you're over giving and you get resentful and it's like attachment to what you were doing versus like, you know, if you do it in an authentic space, not to feel like you're owed something back, I guess. The popular movie and book series The Secret further fed this idea, not only in giving to receive, but also by stressing that by echoing thoughts and visualizing the material possessions you want, need to have, the universe will open every path and allow the new car or $1 million check to magically materialize. Wow. In your life, while thought and action do echo back into reality and materialize in some fashion or another, we must be reminded of why we want what we want, and if the reason is to be fed the soul or fill a void. And if the reason is to feed the soul or fill a void, so is what we want, is it to fulfill ourselves, to feed our soul, or to fill an empty space? And if you're whole and complete and you've done the work and you're gotten through this level of spiritual liberation, it's to feed the soul, and not just your soul, but the soul of everyone that you could potentially help. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. And that's from the Kybalion. The fifth Hermetic principle from the esoteric Kybalion relates to the principle of rhythm and the fact that the universe always compensates for what it is put out mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In living in alignment with the heart and giving genuine offerings that provide spiritual nourishment without any expectation of getting something back, we in effect do get something back by the kindness that ripples through the collective unconscious. The being of our doing, the life within our living. The biblical parable Jesus shares in Matthew 19:24 further solidifies the key that unlocks the shackles of suffering. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. Some claim that the accurate translation relates to a particular gate in Jerusalem known as the eye of a needle, and only the camel free from baggage or attachment is able to pass through the space because the opening was so small. This perspective of the metaphor seems to have its heart in the idea that you may pass through into heaven with what you are, what you've done, and how you've lived, not with what you have acquired, collected, and attached yourself to materially. Liberation may be found in loving all without attachment, giving because it feels good to give, and allowing your presence to be a gift given without expectation of anything in return. Wow. That's all I'm going to say. And I pray you all enjoyed this message. I pray you all everything on your, I pray you have a beautiful life. Let's just put it that way. And thank you for coming and spending some time with me and listening to this message. And congratulations on those that that you're all, anyone who comes to here, remember you came here for a reason. The universe doesn't make a mistake. Think about how the all is consciousness. Think about the universe. Everything is the creation. So all the divine timing is, it's not a mistake, basically. You're not here by mistake. So have a beautiful life, and thank you.